Okay, so we start now. Um, Welcome all. I think there are some more people coming, but I will keep admitting them. That should be okay. I hope so. Um, Welcome to this one of the talk in this sessions. What we are actually trying to promote Galaxy, and then for that, trying to make some sessions monthly or regularly. So as part of it, this is one of the session. So mainly, let's say, encouraged and sponsored by BioClues, Galaxy Network, and TMS Foundation. So before I go further, I would like to know some of the things from you and also something. So in this webinar, basically, it's about Git basics and how it would be useful for the Galaxy. That those things will be discussed, and you will have a kind of hands-on session also. So it would be great if you have your computer, so laptop or machines, so not the mobiles. So that would be better way. Um, yeah, welcome Sugu. So you wanted to say anything, Sugunaka?
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing much,
nothing much,
Kiran.
Kiran.
Thank you for the
Thank you for the
initiative.
initiative. Yeah.
I really
I really
appreciate your
appreciate your
efforts,
efforts. Yeah.
especially
Especially
exploring the young
exploring the young
minds
minds. Yeah.
to
To
understand more
understand
about
more about
Galaxy
Galaxy
and
and
other related
other
things which
related
are
things
very
which are
quite
very quite
essential
essential. Yeah.
in
In
this
this
age of
age of
genomics.
genomics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Kiran, for
Thank you,
your
Kiran, for
prop.
your okay, great, thanks. So yeah, as I was saying, the webinar will be mostly covering like Git basics and also a significant how it would be useful in Galaxy. To get, in case if you lost the link about this Google Meet link, you can go to this galaxyproject.in, and under the events you will find that link. And of course, I think there are a few people helping me out in this. So there are Sangram, Alanis, and Aishi. So they will also be helping me in this during the webinar. So some hands-on session. So if you face any difficulties while trying to do some commands and using the commands, hands-on session. That's the thing. Okay, great, thanks. And I will start the presentation now. Okay. So assume what is the need of actually the Git right now. So assume a programmer is there, he writes something at some time. So at some occasion, at some point of the time, he has written some program. And that is like timestamp 1, he has written some program. It could be not just programmer, it could be any person, so any kind of documentation also. You write some files. Right now, of course, many people use the Google Docs. This already reduced that kind of sharing thing. But then, if you still have some kind of text or files, you will write, and then in another time, after some time, on the next time or next hour or next day, you will write another code, more code. Like for example, the blue color and the red color got added, you change something, and you change again. So now the question comes to the programmer: how do, like what how does he know what kind of changes he made, and at what time, at what point of time he made? Point here is you need to also understand here the programmer means he would also do programming sometimes, like 50, 60 files, or maybe each file having many number of lines of code. So it ranges from hundreds to thousands lines of code, and you don't know if you change, so then it comes a kind of a problem. So how do you track them? So what kind of changes when you made, and what kind of an experiment you try to do, and what one changes you wanted to do? That's the kind of scenario we want to address. So this Git basically tries to address this scenario. Gets much more complicated if there are two programmers. So let's assume the one programmer is using written all the dashes, and another programmer is writing all the stars. So if the programming is in that way, that in between he changes something, and all those things has to be get tracked, who did what change, because whoever done the change, he might understand more on that part, so that person will understand more. So how do you to track that one? So this becomes much more complicated when you again change it in another. So in the timestamp 2, there are some changes which are red color, some new additions which are blue color, and then it gets more complicated. So the programmer once keeps thinking what actually the programmer 2 made, and did he made before him or did he made after him? So if the change was happening before him or after him. So that kind of a scenario is a very complex scenario. How do we tackle that scenario? That's where the Git, or basically there are several versioning systems, but with Git in last 10 years or 12 years more, it became much more popular, and it's kind of an adapted kind of industry standard it became. So many people are using. It's not just using, but based on that, there are several tools also become much more popular. So that's where the importance of Git actually increased a lot. So yeah, this kind of a scenarios is basically we try to address. So let's see more. It could be like what happens is like if they keep changing. Usually you change the copy, so timestamp 1, he changes a copy to another person, and then it's to and fro kind of changing the files. So that is a bit very difficult. That's not a better scenario. So for this, actually, Git follows a better strategy. In this strategy, here if you see here, they are in the version 1. Version 1 is at the first point when they do. There are 3 files, file A, file B, file C. In the version 2, so there are some changes in file A and file C. So they became 1 and so A1 and C1. In the version 2, file B did not got changed. It still remained B. And in version 3, it's again some changes in A1 and A2. But in the version 4, B1 also got changed. But sorry, in A1 got changed before. In the version 4, like even A got changed and became A2. So in this way, so at each version or each timestamp, you can see that changes happening. So what Git does is basically it stores as a kind of a stamp. In that timestamp, it stores complete snapshot. So we can always go to snapshot to that time and then get back to that version. And we can also compare what changes has been done. We can also do more of like who did the changes, and also kind of again go back to different version and start from there. So all these kind of possibilities are there. We will understand more with some hands-on on those things. I go further. So how does this more look like? So this is the code, the complete code, how it is written, and this goes into kind of repository. So when I say repository, it's a kind of a database. So it gets stored. I will not go into here in this webinar how this gets stored in the repository. This is a very complex thing. It's stored in the kind of objects and other things, but that's a completely different topic. But it gets stored in the database, and from the database we can track the complete history. So whatever changes whoever has done, and those history can be easily tracked. So this is basically how Git work out. So if there is a remote where it is actually stored, so there are several possibilities to store this repository. You can store it in some remote repository, so which means even if your local computer or local machine is gone or is not working, so you can always get that copy and use it. But also this repository exists in the local also. How does this work actually? So you will see more scenarios how this work. So you will have like repository in your local machine and also in the remote server. So yeah, if there are multiple programmers, so people who are using it, this repository or this code or this setup, then everybody will have their own repository. So whoever is using the Git, they will have their own repository in their machine. So whatever you do changes, and complete database is a kind of a complete copy is you will receive when you get that complete project. So this is how it works. And then there are some commands and the procedures how you need to follow to synchronize them, and then they get synchronized. So yeah, why Git? So because every operation is local. So whatever you do, any operation, it's completely in the local, and you don't need to depend on the remote server. So you have complete copy of it, and even if you're not connected to internet, you can still do. And when you're connected to internet, you can synchronize it. So that's how it works. So it's in this way, it's very useful. Git has integrity. So basically every snapshot, whatever is done, it's stored with a complete hash value. So it's like basically calculates the storage the file where it got stored, and for this completely an hash code is generated, and this hash code gets verified again, and then it's stored, so which makes it very integral, so it's you don't lose any data. So Git has that complete features. And Git only adds the data, so which means if you delete anything, even it doesn't really delete it, but it stores that you have deleted at that time at one's timestamp. So you can go back to that timestamp and then get back again. So which means, of course, the repository grows and grows, but however, this has a much more better storage techniques. So it will be not like hugely growing the database. So this has much better method. So which I will not cover in here in this webinar, how it stores. And also why Git is because it's free, it's open source. The operations, whatever is done, are very fast, and it can be scalable to really high. So it's like right now, if there are some tools which use a lot of projects, and it goes to a lot of, like, I'm not sure how many other, but of course there goes into like thousands of projects and also in millions of lines, I would say. So that would be a kind of, it can be scalable to very high number. So that's possible. And cheap branching and merging. This is one of the important aspect if you're working as a team. So if somebody done some changes, and how to take that changes and merge it into your main repository, or let's say the main project. So that branching and merging is much more easier. Although I wouldn't be not going into details of merging things, you will see some of the aspects of branching. So, okay. So let's, before going further, I would request all of you to go to these websites. You will get the links in the meeting, Google Meet, and go to those links and try to install them. If you face any difficulties, do ask. Alanis is there, Sangram is there. You can also ask me, and I will also be watching the questions thing. If you have any questions, I will wait for a couple of minutes or maybe 5 minutes more. Because you want to install, there's quite a lot of few people who are there for the Windows based. But anyway, if you're not able to install, as I said, there was a link. You can actually go there and then use that method also. So you can execute all the Git commands over there.
Kiran, just
Yeah.
question. Are we recording this session?
Yes, it is getting recorded.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I see some question. Is PyCharm useful for programming? PyCharm is actually kind of an editor. So yeah, any editor, it's basically more of for Python programming, although it's getting adapted to other areas also. So definitely useful for programming. So I will mark this as unanswered. I hope I'm answered, but if I'm not sure if the question got answered. If not, you can ask me again, rephrase it again. I just wanted to show this website also here. So once you go here, click on the start scenario, and then this is the area where you will start typing your commands and things. If you close that window, basically you will lose all the data, so you need to do it again. But yeah, which is why I would say if you have your local computer, and in that installing and then doing it would be easier. And in the installation of Windows thing, once you download that, just accept all the default things and then go on. Just click next, and then it should be fine. Once you download, choose accordingly if you want the 32-bit or 64-bit. I think most of you are on the 64-bit, so go for that one. And so yeah, if you're not sure, you can, if your computer or your machine is in last 5 years, go for the 64-bit. Most likely it will be 64-bit. And yes, just install, and installation process is just go next completely. So now we come to the point where we try to do some kind of commands. So for me, I have this terminal. I hope this is visible. Can one of you say me, Sangram, Alanis, is it visible enough, or should I make it a bigger, large?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, fine.
You can zoom one bit. That would be great.
Okay. Okay, good. I hope so. This should.
Yeah, perfect.
So now we try to play with some commands. If you want me to wait, I will wait. So if somebody feel like I should wait, please type in Google Meet or in the questions. I will wait. Okay, there is, no, this question is answered. So yeah, that should be fine. But otherwise, I'll keep go on. Okay, so first I want to check what is my Git version. If I actually installed whatever Git I have installed. So which is I will do with the command git version. So this is my version. Most likely most of you should also have like anything about 2.1, 2.2 above. So if you have below that 2.1, then you should let me know, but otherwise it should be fine. Anything about 2.1 version should be completely fine. So to know the version, it is basically git and space double dash and version. You will do that. And to get help about many kinds of commands, it's basically git and help. So once you type this, you will see a lot of scroll of things. So yeah, there's a lot of text will come up. So it will actually, you will see a lot of commands, the command with more options, not a lot of commands, this one command and then more options for it. So all these options can be used. I know it's not going to be that easy to understand that easily right now. If you're completely new to the commands, you don't have to right now understand all this right now. We'll be covering let's say some basic commands. You can start with that, and then slowly you can increase the command repertoire in your knowledge. So while you're using, you will get to know more commands. Okay, so those are the first commands. If you are there, I will still see if people have. Okay, there is somebody. Install Git. Do we need to install editor Node++? Yes, to have some kind of an editor is a good idea. If you have Notepad++, you can install that. If you don't have that, install it would be also useful. But most likely we are covering most of the commands right now, so maybe it's not that much required. If you're not able to install, also it's completely fine. Okay, so yeah, then goes to the next slide. Yeah, configuring Git. So once you have installed, we need to configure the Git. So why we should configure the Git? Basically, once the need of configuration is to know that whatever we done, so it should be recognized that whatever change I have done, it should be recognized and attributed to my name. Or so in that way, this is very much important. And also we can say to the Git that these are the locations, or these are the default tools that you have to use. All those kind of things can be done with the configuring Git. And this configuration can be done in 3 levels. One is system level, global level, and the local level. So if you do changes to configure this at the system level, then all the users in your machine will have the same kind of configuration. If you do it in the global level, then the repositories of just the user who has done, they will have this configuration. If you just do that at the local level, then it is only confined to the project level. So you can do whichever option you want to know. do, so that's completely fine. Right now for this webinar, you can use any kind of option, that's completely fine. So we go back again for some more commands. So yeah. So yeah, if it is, I want to configure, so it's like git config, and then I'm configuring it as a local, which means only for this directory or here it will be useful. So or maybe I can also choose global level also, like here global, or I can also use here system. So whichever option you want you can use. So yeah, I'll go for global right now. So yeah, then you can say user dot name, and then you can type your name. So this will configure the name. Here you can always change before typing the command. So I change it to local because I want to keep it here. So yeah, this how you will can change the name, but right now it gives a kind of an error. This basically gives because we don't have a Git repository. So we do this again when I create the Git repository. But as of now, I'm just trying to show the command how we do. So in the similar way, there are a couple of more commands, but to configure. So maybe we will try to start a Git folder also. Then we can these commands will get accepted. I just wanted to show that error. Such a kind of error would come if you don't have a repository. So if it is done as a global, it might have not come, but if it is done as a local, it will come. So I will create a directory. Mkdir is a directory command in this terminal to create a directory. So let's assume I take a demo1 directory here and then go to that directory and then again try to execute that command. It will still say the same problem because we still don't have the Git. Now, how do I start a Git repository here? So to start a Git repository, it is a command git space init. This basically initializes the project, or let's say that the folder will be kind of a Git folder it becomes, and there you will have all kind of Git configuration things will be created. Once I run this command git init, it will create that, and it says here initialized an empty repository. So this is basically repository got created, and the path of it is this one. So it's you don't have to focus on the complete this part, but right now we are in the demo1 directory. So this is the demo1 directory. Under that we have a folder called .git. So I want to see all those things. It doesn't show with LL, so but you can see the, because it's a hidden folder, you can see them with a LA option. So yeah, or the -a option also, basically it should work. So if you see here, that's the .git folder got created, which was not existed before, and it got created after we have done the git init command. And I will try to go into this directory now and then see what else are there. Under this, they are not anymore hidden, so it should come with the LL command. So now you see, you can see the branches, config, description, head and hooks, and info and objects and references. So all these are basically kind of Git repository related files and folders, which we don't really need to understand right now to use the Git. So here this is there, and let me show you, we can again try to execute that command. Okay, there's somebody got in. Okay, so now if I try to use that config command, it should work. So this config command with my name local, so now it should work. And now I will also configure my email, config minus local user.email, and then so this is how you can create the email address. So for the email address, of course, if you don't put the quotes also, it's completely fine because it's just a one string. So yeah, now this got configured. I would also want to configure my editor. So it's git config minus global. I will configure it for the complete globally, so if it works for all users in my machine, then code.editor and then subl -n -w. So now the Sublime will work. Here I can understand some of you are not using Sublime. So if you are using Sublime, you can use it, this command. If you're not using, it's completely fine. I'm not going to explain for all other editors because we are not going to use that much of the editor right now. So it's completely fine. If you don't execute this command, we can still do this complete webinar. So that's completely fine. So yeah, this will actually create Sublime as a default editor for the Git. So in that way, we can use whenever the
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Kiran, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Everything is going fine, but the pace can decrease because the coding is up.
Okay, sure. I will yeah, go a bit slow. So yeah, here if you see, this is the git config command is. There are many more commands with the git config, but right now we use only these few commands. Basically, we are trying to assign a name for our Git repository, what we created. So demo1 is a project we are here, we can say. And the person who is handling is like here, Kiran, the name, and then the email address and the editor. So you have to enter these commands and then it should be working. So the command, I mean, I'm not expecting that you should be able to have this kind of environment right now, because we're not going to do any kind of project or something in that way right now. I just want to show those things, how it works. And you can also try to execute those commands. If you get some errors, definitely you can post the questions. I will take those questions. So if you're not able to get, it's completely fine. I don't see any questions, so I will again a bit continue. So here again, so we are in the demo directory. I will clear everything again. So we are in the demo directory, and if I want to see actually what all got created in this directory, so if I say this command, okay, sorry, yeah. There's nothing because it's not showing for the hidden files, so I should go into the .git, and then if I execute this one, it will show all the files. So basically these are the files available in that folder. Sorry, yeah. So branches, config, description, and under that, as I said, these are not that important. One of the file is a bit interesting for us, and which is why I came here, which is under the Git, the file called config. Here I would like to explain a couple of commands. One is cat. With cat, I can actually display the contents of the file. So if I say just cat and then that file name, it will display the contents of that file. And another command I would like to show is vim, is the editor, what I use. So if you're not able to use the vim editor right now, at this point, if you're on the website, you will not be able to use the editor, any other editor other than the vim in that website. But if you're in the local, in your Linux or Mac or Windows, then you can enter your command for your editor. So for example, for the Sublime, it's subl, and for the VS Code, it's a code is a command. And for Notepad+, you can directly open the Notepad+ and then open the file. So you need to traverse to that path and then try to open. In this webinar, I will be mostly going for the Linux related areas right now. In the Windows, you can post questions. I will try to answer, but yeah, that's I will try to focus right now only on the terminal and then Linux area. But if you have questions in Windows, I can take them. That's completely fine. Yeah. So the interesting file was git config. So I'm using the vim editor. If you want to use, you can use something else also. That's completely fine. I'm opening the file, and if you see, we have some parameters was already defined. Repository, file, bear. These are not that important, but user is the are the parameters which are important. We just set the name and then email address. Those got here, and that we can see them here. When you open, display the contents of the file. So yeah, then I go back again to the demo directory. And so I just want to show if I delete all the contents of .git, will the Git repository will still stay? So it will does not say. So that's what I wanted to show. So I want to delete all the contents of the .git and even the .git folder completely. So this command removes recursively all the files in that .git folder. So there are many folders and files in the .git, and it will remove all the files and folders. So I'm just deleting it. Now if I see, and also I run, okay, I'll just clear and then make it to the top. So ls minus laph, or let's say la. I don't see any folders or files right now again. So everything is gone. So the .git is gone, everything is gone, which means if you again say you will not have any configuration file, all those things. So I just removed everything. So to get back again, we have to again do the init. So this removing thing, if you do after the project has proceeded to some extent, then you lose all your data, because everything, the data is in the repository. So I just did now because there's nothing, no data in that. So that's completely fine. So now I created it again. And so I will have again all those things. So the git.git, and if I try to see the contents of the config file, which is under the git, so this I can write as .git/config. So it doesn't have my name. So now I will try to set again my name and the email address. So this I will try to set the email address. Now this time I will set as a global, which means even if I move to some other project, other directory, it will still be useful for me for other things. So I will set it as global. And also the name, you can set first email and the name. It's nothing like any order. You can set whichever you want. That's completely fine. So now if you see the contents of the config again, okay, here you will not see. The reason is the global settings are not set here. It is set in a different folder. This is, you don't have, I would say it's completely fine even if you don't figure it out. It will be, yeah, in the git config in the home folder. So here it got set, this one. So this will be in the global scenario. It's completely fine if you not have done this. The local, whatever you're done locally, that should be completely fine for this webinar. I just wanted to show the git config for the global, it gets stored in a different location. So even if you delete the contents of this directory, it will still be there, all the things. So now we got a bit introduction, how the git are there, let's say very basic commands. I'll just see if there are some questions. If not, I will proceed further. Okay, there is no more question. So we go further. Okay, right now we've seen some commands, okay, basic commands. Now we try to understand what are the projects, sections of this Git project. So if you see, there are three areas. One is working directory, staging area, and .git directory. So we have already seen this repository .git directory. But we want to understand what is this working directory and the staging area. So the one where we were in the demo one, it could be called as like in the working directory. Now the staging area is a kind of virtual thing that you have to imagine. This doesn't like kind of a location, it doesn't there, but you have to imagine. But what is the requirement of this? Oh, sorry, yeah. So once we are in the working directory, we will try to change the files or create the files, all those things, and then put it to the staging area. So we will say that, okay, this will go into staging area. So before going into the repository, we should put it into the staging area. And after that, we can commit it. So commit is a process where you put it to the repository. So we are in the working directory and we stage to the staging area, and then it goes to the repository. So until we don't commit, it will not be in the .git repository directory. So this will happen only when we commit it. So what are the staging and commit? We will see soon now. And then if if everything is there in the repository, of course we can always get those things from the project, which is a method called as checkout. We will see that later, but right now is basically to understand there are 3 areas. So I keep saying these areas throughout the presentation webinar. So this is working directory, staging area, and the repository. 3 areas will be there. So now we do again commands. If it's going fast, you have to tell me, because otherwise I will not know. So yes. Okay, I'm back to this demo1 directory again. I just wanted to show again where we are. So we are in the demo1. I want to see if we still have our repository here. Yes, I do still have my repository. And so this can be used as a project. So let's see one more command here, which is like we already seen the configuration, and so we see another command called status. It just queues the status of our Git project area. So I will again do this. So this is right now, if you see, no commits yet. So we haven't done anything. We don't have anything. So this is the status right now. There's nothing new status right now. This is completely empty status right now. Now we are going to do some kind of programming or whatever. We create some files and then we try to see how those files gets changed. So for example, now how I will come up with another command, which is like echo. I think echo also kind of in Windows also works. People don't know a bit. So echo is something, yeah, if I just say echo hello world, it will just say the same thing. So basically it just puts the same thing whatever I put in the quotes. Now what I try to do is use this command mostly to write a file. So for example, at timestamp 1 we are doing something. So right now what we are trying to do, we are trying to understand how Git works. So this line I would put into a file name called timestamp1.txt. I'm using .txt because most of you are very used to that, but usually in the programming is more about Python file, which is .py or java.java or whatever programming language, those kind of things. If you're doing an HTML, all that kind of an extensions would be there, but it's completely fine. As I said, like if it is text file also, that's completely fine. So what happens is right now with this command, this text goes and sits into that file. So I will again, I stop it right now. I will show there is no file right now, timestamp, and then I will try to execute this command with this direction operator. So it redirects this text into that file and creates that file. Now you see that file got created and I can see the contents of it is like this. Now it has, we are trying to understand how Git works. So this is how right now thing is. Now let's see what is the status now after we have created a file. So now if you see there are, it says a kind of red color on this thing on timestamp 1 text, and it is under untracked files. So as we seen before here, we are still in the working directory. So in the working directory, this is as said as untracked files. So it is timestamp1.txt here and it's untracked. Now we have to first get it to the staging area. For that, basically, okay, so for that we have to execute another command, which is git add the file name. So we have the file name timestamp1.txt, and then I will do this command, which is git add timestamp1.txt. I added that to the index or to the staging area. You can also call the staging area as a kind of index. So I indexed it, and then now let's see the status. You see right now that's turned into green color. So now it got into staging area. So I'll go back again here. This got into the staging area, from working directory to the staging area. So now what the next thing is, we want to put it to the repository. So now how do I put into the repository? There is another command, git commit -m. -m is for the message. So my first commit to the Git repository. You can write, you don't have to write all this text, you can just write some couple of letters, that's completely fine. So this is a command. So if you see git commit -m space, you have to be careful with these commands. When the space is there, you have to use the space, and there is no space between minus and m and quotations, everything, and it goes like this. So now I executed the command. Now after executing, you see it says like one file got changed, one insertion, and mode. So this create mode you can ignore right now to understand. This timestamp 1, this got created, and let's see the status again now. So now again it's clean because that got into the repository, so it is already there in the repository. So we can actually now again create another file if we want. So okay, so for that, okay, let me type again everything. Okay, so I'm trying to create another file, echo my second file for the text second timestamp 2. So it will again redirect this one, and then if you see the status, this will be there, and we will again add it. Git add this file name, and then it got added. So if you see the status, it will be like this. And now if you again commit, so now again the status will be clean. So because it got committed. So those are the things right now we learned in this slide. Okay, let's go back again. Let me see if any questions. Yeah, there are a question. What will happen if I don't add, change anything and commit? You will not be able to do any commit. So if you don't change anything, of course there is nothing to do commit, but if you don't add, you will not be able to commit it. So let's try to see that one, that scenario. So yeah. I will add another file. So yeah, this is third file, but anyway the text doesn't matter. And I'm trying to commit. There's nothing because it cannot, because it doesn't know what to be committed. So that would be okay. We continue again. Okay, there's another question. Why do you repeat my first when committing? There is nothing like there's my first is just a message. It's, you can write anything. So after git commit -m within this double quotes, you can write anything, whatever you want. It's nothing like this has to be whatever has to be. But why should we write? Yes, writing meaningful thing is very much important. I come to that point. So yeah, we seen now these things. So commit to the repository. Basically what happens in a commit, it actually takes it has an ID, it has a user's message, when the commit has happened, date and time, and the person who has committed. These are all information gets stored for the changes whatever we have done. So it will store as a complete snapshot, as we have seen before, this complete thing. So here in the version 2, if you see here, file A and C got changed. So A1 and C1 for all the changes are committed, and then it stores as an ID for this. So version 2 becomes an ID, and then message. So when we write a very good message, then we can understand easily when we go back to that commit. So it becomes easier for us. The title will become easier. We can write more text also. By writing a better text, you will easily understand what was done in that commit or in that timestamp. And basically why it uses a snapshot, it's like Git doesn't store the changes. So basically it can also follow a strategy where whatever change happened from file A to A1, only those changes it can record. but it doesn't do like that. It actually keeps a complete copy of another A1 file. So A and A1. This becomes easier when you want to compare A and A1, and it also becomes easier to get that file. So in that reason, it's easier. And now the storage capacity of the storage is not anymore that costly in compared to a decade ago or something like that. So that's completely fine. And also it doesn't take that much space. It stores also in a very smart way. So compressed, which can be quickly restored, compressed storage, and it doesn't duplicate also. So storage does not duplicates. So it's a better method. So I will not go more details how it gets stored. It's a very big topic, I would say. Anyway, so now we see more here how the files are getting changed. So we were seeing the area, working directory, staging area, and the .git repository. That was the before thing. And now untracked file. So here there are 4 areas. So first it is untracked file and unmodified and modified and staged. So these are the kind of statuses of a file can happen. So an untracked file can be added to the staged area. So an unmodified file can be edited and said as a modified file, or an unmodified file can be removed from the tracking. So this becomes an untracked again. A modified file can be staged. So once a modified file, we committed the file and then we again change it, and that is like modified, and again we do a staging. And a commit is basically from staging to unmodified. So from staging to uncommitted, so bring out from the commit, it becomes an unmodified. We will try to see all these scenarios. So there are kind of statuses that can happen when a file gets changed. All these kind of scenarios we will try to see. So some more commands. Okay. Yeah, we have this right now in the time 3 stamp is still is untracked, so we can make it as a kind of track. Now here I can also add git add star.txt, so it will add all the files which are ending with .txt. So you can just use it in this way and add it, so which will add all the files. If you have multiple files, now it will shown as a green color again, and yeah, you can again commit it. Now this time I will try to commit in a different way. So I just write git commit and enter. It will open the Sublime editor, so which I actually set it at before. If you have not set, then just write the commit message, that's completely fine. So here so I save it and then I close this. So yeah, this is how it gets closed, and then it is there. So now if I see the status, it's done. It's again clean. So this is also another method what we can do. Let's see more. So when do we should do the commits? Do commits as frequently as possible. So it's basically whenever you just say leave from the work or in that way, it's a kind of also backup strategy also you can do in that way. Separate commits, one can use a branch strategy, which I will show later. Kind of commits that can be, and meaningful messages will help us to in the history to find what we are looking for. And following some conventions is always good if we are working in a team kind of a project which involves a kind of big team. And if it's an open source project, it definitely has to be really following conventions, because open source projects can run better only when you follow conventions. So people will adhere to the conventions, and it is easier to do the programming. And if you write a code, if you do some changes, then it gets accepted. If the conventions are not followed, your code will also not get accepted. So it's always useful to do that. Okay, so we do some more hands-on. Okay. So right now we were trying to create a file, add a file, and then stage it to the and committing it. So we can also do this commit and adding at the same time. So now I will try to change the existing file. For example, echo So I'm just adding this text into the timestamp2.txt file. So I'm adding to the existing text, for which I use double greater than symbol. So this will include this text into that file without deleting the existing contents of it. Now if I see the contents of timestamp2.txt, you will see the before one, the my second file, that was the first line before I added, and now I added another one, some change in the timestamps2.txt file. So now if I see again status, it's got modified. So if you see here, so it went to from unmodified to modified stage. So it came to this one. So again we have to stage it and commit it. So to put it into the staged area, so we have to add it again and then commit it. So these two things I will do at a time, which is like git commit -am. So this is the option -am, which will add and also add the message. So skipping the add and directly adding the changes to the commit. So this will do both at the same. And so now if you see the status again, it will become clean. So that's how the both commands can work in that way. Sorry, yeah. So more commands. So let's assume now we did something which we did not want to do. So we didn't want to add the timestamps2 file. So we wanted to remove it. So how do we do that? So again, we have right now, let's see again, we have files timestamp1.txt, timestamp2.txt, and then 3.txt. But okay, let's assume I don't want to keep the timestamp2.txt. So I can remove the file. So when this is remove command is rm. This is a Linux command. So right now if I do like this, then it just removes the file, but it does not update the git. So which means, let's see what happens. So now git sees that it got deleted. So some change got happened. So which means the changes has to be again tracked, which is again put to the staged and to the commit area. So which is again I can do git -commit -am, and then I can say deleted the file timestamp2.txt. Now basically, as I said, like git does not remove it but adds it. So it actually added the information that we deleted the file. So it will have the contents, but it will not show in from this timestamp, or let's say in this snapshot from this position. So right now we will not see that here, and it's not there, the file is not there, but still git does know that that file existed. How do we see that? We will get to know to get back that file, or that such kind of scenarios. I'll show that. Let's say that information. And now so if we try to remove it again without doing like remove and then adding to the staged area. So right now we added it to the staged area with the remove command. We have to add it again to the staged area to indicate to the git that it is being deleted. If you want to do that without doing this, then one can use git rm and then file. Let's assume I want to remove the timestamp3. So then if I say that, then it gets directly removed, and git also knows that. So now it is already green. So it is already added to stage area. We just need to commit it. So this way again it will be status, if you see, it will be clean status. So in this way it's like. Now you can also do something like ls files. There is another command which will show what are the files in the Git. So now let's try to see this command again in a different scenario. So I will try to change something in the timestamp 1. So here if you see, it's echo changing something and I'm giving some message and entering it to that file. So now if I say git status, let's say git ls files, it will show that, and of course you can also see still the same thing. But if let's say if I add something new file, the same thing I enter into another file which is like timestamp4.txt. Now if I see, you will not see that in git ls files because this is not yet been added to the staging area. So but if you see the status, you will see that. I'll repeat this again a bit, clear this. So if you use ls files, it will show only one file right now. But if you see the status, we have two files, timestamp 1 and timestamp. This is still untracked, and which is why ls files of the Git doesn't see this file. So once I add this one, let's see the ls. Now it's again, you can see that. So basically git ls files shows what are the files available within the Git. ls will show all the files irrespective of if that is Git, it's there in the Git or not. So ls is a operating system command and ls files here is a git command. Okay, that's the use of git ls. So we see in the remove also. Now let's try to do kind of moving. Okay, first we already added, let's add this file to commit also. Git commit -m and then if you see, okay, we did not add that timestamp 1, so of course we have to add that also. We could do adding all the files as an add git add space dot, but if you do this, you need to be careful that you are adding everything. So sometimes it could be possible that you don't want to add to the Git, and if you do this, then it gets added into the Git. So I did this again and I use the same Git message, so that should be fine. And if I see again the status, there's nothing. I will wait again, probably I might going a bit fast. If there are any questions. Okay, there are not many questions. Okay, then it's fine. So the tree is clean and we have those things. Okay, now we try to move files. So we have right now timestamp 1 and timestamp 4.txt. So let's try to move file 4. So for that I will try to create a folder, make dir subfolder, and then I will move the file timestamp 4.txt to the subfolder. For moving a file, I'll just go to the top again. So I created the subfolder right now and I'm trying to move the timestamp 4 to the subfolder. It's move, you can do move, and of course as I said, like with the git move it will be more easier. So git move timestamp 4 into the subfolder. So now if you see git status, it will be shown as renamed. Okay, if you see here, it shows completely as a green color. Now I do a normal move, not as a git move. So move timestamp 1 into the subfolder. Now if you see the status, it is a bit different. for the timestamp 1, it shows as a deleted, and then it became a kind of untracked. For the timestamp 4, it is directly as shown as a rename. So because we did git move for the timestamp 4, so it actually already took it to the staging area, and then says is that this basically got renamed. The moving is nothing but here got it renamed. Whereas when we do normal move, it will be shown that it got deleted. So time once this got deleted and a new file got created. It doesn't know that that's same file. So anyway, to add all these changes, as I said before, git add dot, we'll just add all the changes, and then if I see the git status, both will be shown as again renamed. Now I can commit. This star I'm putting every time, it's a kind of convention. It's not required after the quotation. As I said, after the quotation marks, everything is whatever you want you can put, but keeping a star is a kind of to say a bullet points kind of thing. So now if you see, those files got renamed, or let's say kind of moved into the subfolder. Now if we see, there is only one subfolder, there are no files because we moved them and we also committed that. Okay, now let's assume I want to actually I will create some more files right now. So echo, okay, I'll just clear that, echo I'm creating another file also, which I'm just keeping track of things what I'm doing. So I have created 2 files, keeping track. So I just created another, it's a kind of a note file for me. So yeah, I just keep as a note file. So you can also give any kind of an extension. Maybe I'll just keep no extension for here. So keeping track. So this will have a kind of what I did. So keeping track is a thing. I have created 2 files. So it can be something else also. This I actually I don't want to include into the Git. So if I add, every time I add a new file, I will change this file in the keeping track file that I will, let's assume I create another file, then I will add the same thing, whatever I do as a kind of a log in that keeping track file. But I don't want to add this file into the Git repository, which means I don't want to share this file to somebody else who is also part of this project. So which means I have to keep this file in such a place where it should be ignored. So for that, there is a method in here. For this, you have to add a kind of file called git ignore. So for that, it's basically vim.gitignore file. So it starts with dot. So I'm using the Vim editor. You can use any other editor, and then write that file name into that. So here it is keeping track. Am I correct? The file name? Yeah, the file name is correct. So no, it's wrong. It's lowercase. Okay. So now if I try to now see, there are files here, and if I say status, it doesn't show that keep track file. It shows the .git ignore, but it doesn't show the keeping track file, that it is not yet been tracked. I remove that again in the git ignore. So I delete that line in the git ignore file. So right now the contents of .git ignore is nothing. It doesn't have anything. Now again I type git status, it will show keeping track file also. So this is also getting tracked. Before, when I say git status, it was not showing this keeping track. Now it is showing because I removed that file name in that. So basically the git ignore file can be used to say which are the files and folders which should not be tracked. So now again git status will do in this way, but this git ignore file has to be added to the git repository. So now I add everything. Again I know that I want to add all these files. I don't want to add keeping track, but still I can use git add git add space dot. So this will add everything, but it will not add the keeping track file into the git repository. So now I can commit again. Sorry. Git commit -m, and then so basically what I'm doing is here right now added the .git ignore file, and in this I added the list of names which should not be tracked. So now again git status, it's again clean. This was a typo, I did not type completely. So the git actually is also intelligent. So if you type a wrong command, it will show maybe if this is what you wanted to type, or possible commands, it will show similar commands. So git status, so it's clean again. So now we know how to ignore files also. Okay, so let's go for further, or let's see some questions if they are. Oh, a little confused. Well, that's a bit not so good, but I don't know what is confusing. Maybe you can ask more question and more about it. I'm checking if there is. Okay, there's nothing. Okay, I will wait for question. You can add the question what actually confused you. I can remit if required, but I will go further then. Okay, so we know that status of files we've seen. So untracked, unmodified, modified, and staged, or these are the things exist for files or even the folders, any contents basically. So now we will see some more things like how git ignore can be useful more. So sometimes in Windows you don't want to add any binary files. So binary files which are get created when you do a programming, as part of it the binary files gets created. So we will basically create some folders sometimes, and also some files would be there. In C language, some .o files, intermediate files, or such kind of files which form. Sometimes we don't want to put them. And even for Python, there are some PyC files which we don't want to include into the Git repository, because that will just increase. And binary files are not a text files which cannot be also tracked by Git, because it cannot understand the binary thing. So yeah, then for those things what we can do is we can already list all those things in the git ignore. So for example, I will have another folder called bin which I want to ignore completely. So the bin folder will be completely ignored, and let's see how this works out now. So my contents, again I clear it, contents of my git ignore right now are keeping track and then binary folder, another one. So now I try to create that folder bin, and I say again git status, it's not there, it's only the git ignore is there because we changed something in that. The bin file name, the folder name got included, and so only that change modification is there, but bin folder itself is not there. So that's how you can see. So yeah, if I create another folder without adding to the git ignore, so actually I added two folders. Wait. Try to add two folders, that which did not work. The command does not work. Yeah. Okay. It got created another, sorry. Yeah, another got created already, and folder. Yeah, sorry. This command basically does two folders creation. Yeah, make dir another and the folder. Both folders got created, and they both can be seen now here. Now you can add them. Yes. So yes, git ignore, and then we'll add the git ignore first to the commit. Yes. It did not take. Why? Because I did not added it. I should also add E. Okay. Now it took. Now it's clean. Okay. So yeah, that's how the things will be. So we know these things, and let's assume we want to remove something from the index, which the file or the folder which is already been added. So that also is possible. So for example, we create another file. We have that file here, and we add that file with the git add. But now I understood that I don't want to add this, so I have to remove that. So for removing that, the command is git remove minus cached minus, so the file name here. So now if you see, this is again red color, so this has been removed. So if we add it to the index, this can be removed again with the remove rm cached command. Okay, so that's basically for the removing a file. I'll go back to the questions again. Okay, could you go a bit slow? Okay, sure. I'll repeat a couple of things which I did right now. So I tried to add a git ignore file which is there in my folder. ls minus la is enough, and this is the git ignore file, and if you see the contents of it, keeping track and bin are the folders. Okay, and they are, so if you see here, there's a one more confusing thing. Although the folders another and folder got added, it is not showing. We never added it, but still it's not showing because they are actually right now empty folders. That's one of the reason. So yeah, okay, so we have the git right now. Timestamp 9 is not added to the tracking. Now I will add, and I will again remove it to show the caching thing. Git add. It's added now. The changes got added, or let's say to the index. And now again I remove it. Git remove cached. So the cached, the file got cached basically into the staging area, and that is getting removed with the command git remove cache and then the file name. So now again if I see, git status is not there anymore, and now if I remove the file, it's completely gone and it doesn't know the git. So it's clean right now. Okay. okay. So I go to next slide. Yeah, just wanted to explain this git status command again. So whenever we have the git status here, we see changes that to be committed or changes not staged and untracked files. All these three items we see always. So yeah, if we want to see the same status, this is a kind of a more detailed information with the git status. If we want to see a bit short information, then it can be done with git status minus s. So here there are two columns. So the first column is the left side, the column is the staging area, and the right side column is a working directory. Here in this, okay, there's someone, just a minute. So here if you see, sorry, one file is like timestamp1.txt is modified, which is already been added to the staging area, which is why you can see as a green color in the left side. And timestamp2.txt is also modified, but it's not yet added to the staging area, which is why it is on the working directory right now still, and it is in the red color. And untracked file, which is timestamp3.txt, it is not yet been tracked or not even added to this, of course not added to the staging area, so it is red color. So, and it also, as it is not known to the git, it shows question mark. So let's try to see this commands. So it's just, I'm repeating the things, it's only right now we are using it with a status, a bit minor status command. So let's say a simple status command. So let's try to do again a complete different directory just to kind of recall things. So I'm creating a directory and here another one, make dir demo2. So I go into the directory demo2 and then initialize the git project with the git init. So now I have the project in demo2.git. I already added all the configuration globally, which means all this configuration will be there for me. Now I try to do kind of to check a short text or the let's say short status. I'm trying to do an example for that. So here if you see, I'm just trying to add a file. So let's say we are right now in the COVID season, so let's take that kind of a text. So B.1.1.7 identified variant in north part of India, that's timestamp 1 added. And let's add another line or another file. I would suggest if it is getting too fast, you just follow the thing, because anyway you will be able to use commands later, because commands you don't have to remember, you need to understand how the process, and commands you will always get in the Google. There are many cheat sheets available, so commands you can always get easily. So what is actually happening, that you need to understand. So yeah, B.1.618 identified variant in east part of India, timestamp 2. And let's see how the status is right now. It's both are not yet added, but let's see the status with this small format, with a minor simple format. So both are not yet added, which is why it shows like this, both are as a question mark. So I will add one file to the index, which is timestamp 1. Now again I see the git status minus s. Now you see it's got added. So it is in the staging area and added. And now I can add both together with git add star.txt, as I said before. So again I see, so both got added to the staging area. So left side is the staging area, right side is the working directory. And now let's do the commit. So I'm just committing it. So again first, yeah. Okay. Now let's see again this status small, there's nothing. So with the git status minus s, nothing will come out, because there's nothing new right now. But with the git status, you will see it's a kind of clean thing. That's how it is. So let's try to change one of the text file which we already added. So I'm again trying to change the file with the same content actually. So yeah, I'm using 2 times greater than symbol. It gets added, and now we see git status minus s. So it's again in the modified in the working area. And let me try to add another one with another file. So b.1.617 identified in the west part of India, which is timestamp 3. So that's presumably that identified at the later stage. Yeah. So now again we see git status minus s. It's not tracked right now. So we have right now 3 files. Timestamp 2 is already been tracked and already added to the commit, the repository, which is why it is not showing about that, anything related to that. But timestamp 1 is modified, and so you see as an M on the working area, but it's not yet added to the staging area. And timestamp 3 is unknown. Right now it is not been added to any staging area. So now we try to add those things. Add timestamp 1, and again if you see git status, it's in this staging area as an added. I will add everything with one command which we already seen, git commit minus am, that is adding everything and then also committing it. Now if I see the git status minus s, it's still there because it did not got added. The reason is this here, when you combine these two, it will only add which are already been in track. So the track is the timestamp 3 is not been tracked yet, so it will not be able to add in this combined command. So we have to add it separately, or let's say git add as a star.txt. So now if you see, this is got added, and then again we can do this one, the commit minus am, because it's gone added to the staging area. And now if you see the minus s, clean, there's nothing. So basically I did all the commands. What I did is again the similar commands are the same, repeat, but I was just showing with the git status minus s. So staging and the working, all those things again. Okay, I will see if there are any questions. I'm not sure if who written the a little confused. If you can phrase out what is your question, I can reply that. Guys, I'll go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. So there is one more thing here. You can also let's try to do the commands which we already did before, and I can show something more. So echo, adding another file. We are seeing another command called git diff staged. It does not show anything right now. Okay, I will explain further that command. I will add that file now, the file which I just created, and then again do the git diff staged. So if you see, once I add it to the staged area, then it is able to see the difference. Now, what actually this difference command does? the difference command basically does is what is there in the repository, and it compares to the latest stage of staged in the latest status in the staged area. So from the repository and the stage area will be compared. So here if you see, it's a bit crowdy text here, but you can still understand. So the diff command is like this. The first here A, so which is like the previous thing, let's say before the command what it is and what it got changed. So A timestamp dot A is the time before, and then B is an after. So timestamp dot 10.txt and then time.txt, both are same, the file names are same. What basically happened is, if you see here 0, so 0 in here indicates that file was not existing and it got just added, and it is got added, that indicates with the +1 here. So basically even the lines are shown. I will show another example, better example, but here just you saw how that gets staged here, and we can actually see the status again in this stage. So this is basically got added to the staged area, and we can commit it now. So now again git staged will not have anything, but we will see more on that. Before that, I just wanted to tell what are the git diff tools. So there are command line tools, diff as one command line tool, and color diff, wdiff or vimdiff. These are the tools you can install, which can be useful for you in installing in seeing the differences what got changed. And there are GUI tools which are compare, VS Code, Sublime, diffview, meld, gitk or diff merge, and all these kind of tools are there. So you can use, and there are many more tools, not just the listed here. So you can use any of these tools for comparison, or let's say seeing the differences what got changed. So this difference can be compared with the different commits, so in different timestamps, everything. So all those things can be done with the diff command or diff tools. So we try to do some example with that. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah. I want to know the status of the project right now. It's clean right now. So we want to see the diff command basically. Okay, we try to do the same example again. I will restart completely. Demo 3. Created a folder and initializing the git repository again. And now I will have the same things what I did before. So yeah. So I will add them. Now I say git diff, I say staged. So it shows both the files. So it's basically showing it's 0 again because it's a new file completely got created, and then so it shows that one. So even it shows, so it says +1 here, basically indicates here 0 and +1. So 0 is basically here again, it's new file got created, that is a basically, and +1 is first line getting displayed. Sometimes it will be +3 or whatever, but it will not display completely. If there are thousands of lines, it will not display everything, so few lines will be displayed. So here I will add again to the repository this one, git commit -m. Okay, these are got added. Now I try to change them. So when you try to change them, then only we will get to know how the git diff staging will work. Or maybe first I will show what is the content of timestamp1 text, just to be sure. So right now we have in the timestamp1.txt is this one, B117 identified variant in the north part of India. Now I'm trying to change that file with another content. So for example, I will just take the same text, but change one letter. So which is, I changed India with the capital I, and then I will just put it into the same. So right now I'm putting into the same file as with one single greater than symbol, which means it will overwrite existing thing. And now again I will use the command git diff staged. Still not there. Let's see what's the status. Yeah, it is basically. So we are still not able to see, because the reason is it was not able. It doesn't know what to be compared. So because this is not yet in the staged area, and so it doesn't know what to be compared within the repository. So we will push this into the staged area. So git add this one, and again use the same command. Now it shows the difference. So if you see, so -1, so one letter being removed and one letter got added. Let's say it's basically one line. So it's basically one line got removed and added, but it's similar, same content. It's just we know that the I got replaced. So that is what it shows. So here the red color are the things which are removed, and the green color are the things which are added. And B is, let's say B is indicated with the plus symbol, so that's the basically about this one, and A is the thing about this red color thing. So it's basically doing the diff git between A timestamp1.txt and B timestamp1.txt, and it's trying to compare both the contents. So it one timestamp with another timestamp, or the snapshot here I would say. So in first snapshot and another one, and then if you see, the differences are computed and then displayed. So now we can add, we know what we want to change. So I wanted to change the I to capital I, and so now I will add, I'll commit it now because it's already been added. Let's see with the small s. So it's been added and modified. Now I can add it to it. Okay. Oops. Yeah, because I did not add the -m option here. So message -m. Okay, that was the error. Okay. Okay, there seems to be question. When do we use -am in command? So yes. So if I want to, if there is a modified file and I already it's already in the repository, and I want to add it, change and then add it to the repository. So I have a file, I created a file and added it to the repository. After that I change that file again, and now this time again I have to add it to the index and then commit it. So to do this two-step process in one step is using the -am command. So -am will allow us to skip adding and committing. It will do in one step. Okay, thank you. Now I understand. I'm not confused anymore. Yes, completely understand. It requires a lot of practice. I know, completely understandable. If you don't remember any of the command which I showed today, it's completely fine, because it's not going to be easy to remember those commands. You will learn only by using it. There's no other method. There are many commands, hundreds of commands, but you can't remember every command. And so it's basically when we try to use it, the purpose, then we will learn about it. That's all. So okay, then I go further. diff tools done. So history. So we've seen that all whatever the changes we do, they get stored into the repository, and from the repository we can track the history. So this is the basically history thing. Now how do we do that history? How do we see all? We did a lot of things right now. I did not show, like it took our name, it also took a lot of things, like our email address and where it got stored and at which time what we did, all the changes. So I did not show it yet. So we created till now 3 demos. So we will go into each demo and see how the changes whatever we did. So we go into the demo 1 and then see git log. So the command is git log. Okay, I will clear that first. Git log. So if I click on type git log, it will show the complete history whatever I did. So this is, again, if you know Vim, then it's basically the Vim editor method which it follows. Here you don't have an option of choosing an editor. Well, of course, if you use a completely different Git tool, you can do that. But right now on the command line, there's the Vim is the method here. So if you see here, the first line, commit. So it has kind of a 40-letter character code. It's a kind of code index given to that commit what we made. And it also shows head and main. So here the head is pointed to the main right now, which means wherever the head is there, we are at that location. So in that timestamp, or let's say on that snapshot we have several snapshots. So every time we make a commit, it's a kind of a snapshot. So we are at this. So at here, this message mean here it is like at 29th 1610 time. Okay, so this is the snapshot, and at 1605 it's a different commit. So at that point we added more files along with gitignore where I listed. So this is the message what I was giving for the commit always. So if I give a better message, then I see better message here also. So the more better I write, and I will able to recognize more better here. So updating the gitignore. So we will see from the down what we did. So to go down, it's space button what you have to use, and it will go until end, and then it will show end here. So we will come from down what all we did. So we did my first commit into the Git repository with the timestamp1 file. I did not write the timestamp1 file, so it is not listing here. Here I have written timestamp2.txt, so I'm able to understand. But of course it can be false, so I add some other file, but I write here as a different commit message, then it's false. So whatever the message you write, that is what it is indicating here. And commit message from Sublime editor. So I made a message added a commit message from the editor, that was this one, and I tried to use that -am command, and so that at that point this message got added. I was trying to delete the file, and then so this delete file was there, and I was trying to delete the file directly with the git remove command, and that was this message. I was trying to create the timestamp 4, and this one I did it again, and move files to the folder. So all this kind of history we can see, even the time, everything, who did changes. Right now all are done by me, so obviously my name will come here, but whoever does, their name will become, and along with their email. So author name, date, and the commit. So this is how the log looks like. And to quit this log, you press Q, then you quit. I show it again. It's type git log, space is the button to scroll through the messages, and Q is the button to come out of it. Now if I want to see all these messages not in that detail, then there is one more command which is like git log one line. So if you see all the messages what we have written, directly they come, and also only first few characters of the commit are shown here, not completely, because most likely this will not be repeated. That's how these 40 characters are formed. So it's anyway, even if it's get repeated, they are different, so then it will give more characters. So that's a possibility, definitely always there. So that will calculate git automatically. And so if you see here, all the messages from the down are listed, and right now we are at this location after updated the git ignore. Let's go into other demo folder and see how it is. I use again the one line command. So here we haven't done much compared to the demo one. So commit and then short status and then again short status and then staged diff command. Let's do the same thing with the demo 3. Here we have done a bit much more or less. So that's how it shows all the log whatever we have done the changes. Now we go back to again to demo 3 because there we have more commits. Demo 1, sorry. We can do some, I can show some more things. So yeah, this is. So yeah, with the dot dot I go out of the demo 3 and then with slash demo 1 I get into the demo 1. I did it in all one command. Okay, now there is another command called git show. Yeah, basically it shows what is there in that commit, what is done in that commit basically. So if I see git log online, I see all the messages. I go slow a bit again. Okay, let me clear this and then again. I'm in the demo 1 where I have a lot of content, or let's say a lot more commits. So I'm using this one, git log one line. I see all the lines and along with that short name. So now I want to see what is there in each command, or let's say what kind of changes happen. So for that I can say use git show command and let me see, yeah, in the deleted. So I can take this one. So I can write like this, that thing, and then click on show. So it will show what happened in that commit. So at any stage of the snapshot, we can see what happened. So yeah, it got deleted. So all those things will be shown here. And let's assume we are right now in the head. So at this position. Okay. Now I can also write git show head. Then it will show that head thing. So we were at, I will show again that one, git log one line. So I wanted to see directly what is there on the head. Okay, but I want to see what is there just before one commit before the head. So for that it is like this command, git show one before. So head is here. So we will be shown this one. So if you see, the index is that one. So the next one will be shown. So yeah, in this way, of course, there are several methods you can change this head command. I will not be going into more details of it. That's you will figure it out slowly. More detailed commands there'll be a lot of you can find in internet. Yeah, so but with the head this is a possibility. Okay, we'll go back to presentation, and before that I see if there are any questions. No questions. Okay, yes, so we were able to see history with the show and log, and we did some hands-on with that. Now we will try to restore one of the history. Okay, what we did we will try to restore. So let's assume we have here git log one line. Okay, so to restore, the command is git restore, and then we need to mention the source from where we are trying to do. So source is this like source equal head, from the head we are trying to do, and let's try to do 2 commits before thing, and let's try to get the file from that position, timestamp 1.txt. I'm not sure what's going to happen if that's at that stage, if that file existed or not. Let's see what happens. So it did not match, which means at that timestamp the file itself was not there probably, and that could be a reason why we don't see that. So let's try to restore. Let's see if we have that file. We don't have that file right now. And let's try to restore it from much more older one. Yes, we got it. So at that point of time, so 5 times we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it was there here in this commit. Later we moved it. So if you see here in this point, we moved it. So that file was not available. And so now we got restore of it. And if you see, the timestamp1 text file will be seen here. Let's see the status. Because this is just now created, or let's say just entered right now in this head position. It was not there before. In the head position, we bought it from the history, so which is a kind of untracked. So we can add it again. I want to add back into the history, and I can also write some message. Okay,
For the basic settings, they'll try to go, they understand that some command lines and whatever doubts they get it, they can come out again to us. So next date, we can fix one date,
yeah.
and because it's a series, it's a series 1, series 2, series 3.
Yeah.
If at least 3 to 4 sessions will happen, then what the doubts they have, they can certainly clear it off.
Yeah.
So as a part of this great initiative of Galaxy India, with BioClose and TMS Foundation, it will be wonderful, like a series of events to carry forward.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. So now people can unmute and then ask directly because there are no questions here. You can ask. There is one more message here from the session. We got immense knowledge. Please inform when the session 2 will be held in future. Yeah, sure. You will get to know shortly. Right now we haven't decided, so I will talk to Sugunakar and other, and then we will definitely inform you shortly. The video is getting recorded. I hope it got recorded. Yes, so that's completely fine. So I will try to put it online. So if some people did not follow, they can follow from the video also.